Hi, fellow beings. I'd like to start this show by singing a song that's offered as a connection to real universes. New. Claudia, would you like to say some more stuff about what we're talking about?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I grew up in a home with a lot of maladies. My father had heart attacks, and my older brother had been born with defects. So there was a lot to contend with. And because it was such a challenging environment, my mother would help the children, the other three children, to become more positive in their outlook. There was so much negativity to deal with. In winter, in the cold of winter, my brother would get pneumonia or something or be sick with a very bad cold. And days would pass worrying about whether he was going to survive. And this was back in the 40s, so things were not very, very good that way, medically speaking. But it was after the war, and so things were cheerful, really, with the people because war had stopped, and we were starting to get more supplies and things that we needed. As we went on, because of the war, I'm going to say a lot of it is that I would have bad nightmares at night, and when this would happen, my mother and father would come to my room and say, oh, okay, look, let's pretend that whatever nightmare you had, and usually it was a monster chasing me, let's change the monster and use our imagination to make the dream better, come out better. So if we had the giant whatever monster with the 3 eyes and the purple head, we would change it to a kitten or a puppy or a butterfly, and then laugh about the colors. The butterfly had, orange and purple stripes on it or something. We used our imagination because we came from a very poor background, so we used it to make our lives more easily handled in tough times. And this has sustained me all my life till now I'm a grandmother with grandchildren, and when I get to babysit them at night and they have a bad dream, I kind of use the same help my mother and father gave me, and it changes things. When you have an imagination and curiosity about life, you have a great power that gives you authority over your life, your very individual life. You can change it from bad to worse. Teachers sometimes have a difficult time with children who are daydreaming in class. Well, I was a daydreamer. I was always thinking, outside the door there's flowers or there's pretty rocks or things to explore. And because of curiosity, one gets the nudge to go and look, see what's around the corner. And for adults, sometimes we just don't want to see what's around the corner. Maybe it'll bite us or something. So we kind of give up the use of our imagination, not voluntarily, but because, I'm busy, I'm at the office, or I'm in school and I have a lot of homework and a test tomorrow and so on and so forth. So we kind of get stuck in a rut and a routine. It takes a little bit of gumption, in my words, to get up and look. We come home tired, and all we want to do is eat dinner and watch TV and put the kids to bed and go to sleep. Make sure they brush their teeth and done their homework. And that's pretty much it for a lot of people. But there are those who don't have that opportunity. There are poor people who don't have any other opportunity to explore life. And it gets very, very challenging. So how do you meet the challenge? You change what you have in your possession. You look and see, do I have a trick in my bag of tricks that I can change the the atmosphere from negativity or depression into a more cheerful attitude. And Mom would always, we had a lot of popcorn, so it was fun waiting for the popcorn and then enjoying it, and we'd split a soda, a little bit for everybody. Same way in adult life. We have nightmares, too, in adult life, and we just chalk it off to being a bad dream. I used to have nightmares, and some of them were about monsters from outer space, because in the 50s we had a lot of outer space movies, and I loved outer space movies. So I'd be watching them, but I'd have to pay the price later by being jostled awake in a frightening dream. Later on in life, I became aware that these monsters, which I call, from outer space, reptilians, they were entering my dreams and making my night disturbed. And I got mad one night, and I said, I'm going to stop this. So I tried to stay awake all night. That's what little kids do. And it didn't work. I finally fell asleep, but I didn't have a monster dream. So I thought, well, I'll do this again the next night. And finally, night after night, I took control of my sleeping side of the day. And as you take control of something in your life, like even learning how to flip a pancake, it gives you a sense of, I guess you could say, strength, power, awakeness. I mean, when I got to the point where I could flip a pancake and it not fall or on the ground or whatever, it came out perfect, I was very enthused and saying, hey, if I can do this and I feel this good, I want to do something else. Maybe I can draw, or maybe I can play the piano, or something that was enjoyable. When we make a deliberate effort to improve our life, we gain control over it, in a sense. It gives us strength internally, and because we have strength internally, we can use that strength in other areas. One of the things that I used to really be afraid of was reptilian dreams. And as I got older, through high school and college and junior college, I became aware that I can change the dream. I used to banish these reptilian dreams away from me so that I no longer had them. And in their place, I would replay the dream and, strangely enough, change the reptilian to a pony or a kitty or a kitten or just a beautiful scene at the seashore. And as you take control of parts of your life that you figure you don't have control of, it gives you a strength to face challenges during the day. So I could go to school, I could pass tests, I could learn. And when you have that ability, you can make your life better. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks, Claudia. The imagination is something. To imagine how you could, help reptilians or brutalitarians or authoritarians become aware of what they're going to experience from the causing. That would be something to imagine, to get their attention, to what's it called? For them to decide to change their ways. Anyway, that was very interesting discussion. If anybody has anything else to say, go right ahead.
We do have a caller or listener, 610 area code. Would you like to share something?
Are you there?
610?
Or
maybe not.
Just, just listening. Or
maybe. I did have something you mentioned, Tim, you mentioned about people being unaware and why they're unaware. Were there? Yeah, that's Eric at 610. Just a minute.
Yeah. Hi, Eric. Are you there? Did you have a question or something you would like to say?
Or maybe it's Mary or John.
Oh. We're just discussing things about this passing dream and the New You presentation and the New You song being offered as a connection to real guidance and a real education, getting into the real universes.
Well, I did have, I'm studying history, Tim, about, and one of the interesting things I found out was that education wasn't exactly created like most people might think it was, and that's part of the reason why people are so dumbed down. Somewhere around the 19th or the 1900s, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, Guggenheim, all these titans of industry came along. They got into the oil, transportation, steel, billions of dollars, and through these enterprises. And they wanted to hold on to these things. So they were very clever. Like we were talking about, the evil forces, you could say, or the dark side they're not stupid. I mean, they would be stupid in terms of they're not willing to wake up, but in terms of creation, they're very clever. So one of the things they did was, Rockefeller said he wanted workers for his steel mill, for his oil companies, etc. So he wanted to keep the middle class basically a worker class. So he developed, he had money, so he could buy off the politicians, and he was able to, form this called Rockefeller Foundation, and he was able to influence the public school system so that the curriculum, teachers, the professors, everybody was in line with what he wanted, which was basically, again, he wanted a class of people that would be just, smart enough to work in his industry, but not smart enough to figure out what was going on, what he was doing, in terms of manipulating them. So one was the Guggenheim Foundation, which is historical. It's like a historical foundation, and they basically wrote history. What we see in the textbooks. By the way, Rockefeller owns the textbook companies. He owns the rights, the scholastic literature copyrights. I mean, he's into everything educational. So these fellows were able to control, and they still do to this day, which is like right now we're dealing with Common Core, which is it goes to the Agenda 21. It goes to what we're being, or what the kids are being exposed to academically. And it's just what they want us to be exposed to, so that they have control of the minds and imaginations of the students. So again, they have workers and slaves to run their company, their corporations. And it's not really the money that they are after, because they have that. They printed out of nothing with Federal Reserve which is the private banks, but they need the labor to keep their systems operating. So it's the labor that they're after, and one of the ways they're doing this is through education to dumb down people. So when they get through with their education after college, they're primed to go into these corporations, into the military industrial complexes, and find jobs, either in the military or industrial, Apple, Google, Facebook, or the military, or, associated jobs which are going to be mostly associated with these big companies. So that's what they want, and that's what they're getting. And that's why we don't see alternative education taking a hold here, and that's why we're establishing our own new school, homeschool, and Nations United University. So we have giving people the option to study something that's real, and they have a real purpose when they come out when they're old enough to do, to work and contribute. They have a real purpose. We're aligning it with the environment, which the elites are aligning the education with just their support to support their industry. So that's just one of the ways they're doing it, how they're dumbing people down or hypnotizing them, using propaganda, using the media. It's just all very well planned out to keep people in their place.
Yeah, it makes me wonder here of the shapeshifters, if they're reptilians, or as this seems to have been going up the history of since the last ice age, or whenever Noah, or how the story goes on this planet. It's all been human farming. It's just being brutalitarians that have no what seems like heart or caring about others but themselves. To have to experience that over and over again, being treated however they want to treat their slaves here on this, maybe the other planets too, I don't know. It's just, imagine how wonderful it could be. It's even hard to imagine how wonderful it could be on a planet where everybody was harmoniously caring about others and growing the beautiful, plentiful foods and getting to go through the process of what life's all about. Seems like we have such an opportunity being offered to find out, for those that are really sincere and wanting to know what this is all about, why it is the way it is. Anyway, I guess that whoever was on the line just probably wants to listen, or they would have called in. So unless somebody else has anything they'd like to say, I guess we'll just end the discussion today.
Is 610 want to say anything? Yeah, you still have 610 on, but if they want to say something, you have some time.
Yeah, if there's someone that wants to ask any questions from Val or Claudia or I don't know, maybe you have trouble trying to connect, how these things work. Sometimes don't seem to be able to get the connection, but there's probably a reason why you're listening anyway, that the real guides know who are at the present, at the right now, is ready. So maybe on some of the other blog talk shows you can check and listen, or their Skype groups And there, Kelsey and Henry and Val, and there's all kinds of information on the new presentation too. And there's books available. Dwayne the Great Writer. There's books at Lulu. This person sings the new you. And the real guides will see that you're putting out the effort, that you're keen to find out for yourself about what's real now. Anyway, it was a pleasure talking with you. Yeah.
One other thing I can add. We mentioned that the real universes don't exist unless one recognizes them or perceives them. Well, it's so too with the real guides and the support we give them and we give each other. That's the way the real universes exist, is the support we provide each other. It's an interesting look at this. It's different than the physical completely, because the real universes, again, for most people, they don't exist. It's even greater than some far out fantasy. What we're talking about to some people, they can only be recognized or perceived. You can't, like I say, you can't imagine them, or you can't even imagine them or consider them or have any idea of them, because it's beyond that, or it doesn't exist for the imagination or the mind. But you can recognize them, so it's a recognition, and then it becomes a reality, not because you've done anything about it. You've just recognized it. You haven't created it or imagined it. It just, because it just is. Your recognition has come about it, and you see it. So same with the support. The support is very important, supporting each other so this reality can exist. And so we can exist within this reality. So that's where contribution comes in. It's not just a passive path of worship and prayer and meditation. It's actually doing something for the benefit of everybody, and especially in the real universes. It's people, beings are supporting each other in their own way, whatever their interests are. So it's a whole new view it's a whole new, like I said in the beginning of the show, revolutionary almost view. I mean, it's not really revolutionary to the is, or this reality. It's just to people, to mankind, it would seem to be something far out, much different than the spiritual path idea and the religious idea, philosophical, metaphysical idea. It's a whole new way of looking at this. So it just, anybody listening, or this show will be, recorded, and people can listen to it later, but read Dwayne's books, Sing the New You, and you'll start getting it. If you're sincere, you'll start seeing things opening up in your dreams, the real side. You'll start getting bits of intuition or insight into what we're talking about, because it does take a while to process this. It's not going to happen like, aha, I see everything. You may get bits and pieces of aha, but it's an ongoing process of opening, becoming more aware. And it takes a decision to want to become more aware. It just doesn't happen by itself. So decide you want to see more, and then sing the new you. Read Dwayne the Great Writer's books. Listen to these shows that we're doing, like Tim's show and others that are doing broadcasts and you'll start picking it up eventually. You know, you can't help but pick it up if you're sincere. So thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Val. Thanks, Claudie.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Unless there's something else anybody would like to talk about, I guess we'll just wrap it up with a New You song. New You.
New you.
Thanks for the help again with the show, Val. And we'll see everybody